Man, fuck, this healer sucks.
Don't fret, I'm bringing the Resto Shaman.
You mean Resto Druid, right?
No, Shaman.
Woman.
Now listen, man, my healing waves be like... Or like...
Man, I've seen you heal me. Your healing is more like...
Fuck that. Yogi wouldn't know good healing if it kept him alive. But you need to know the talents, covenants, conduits, legendaries, rotations, and a bunch more. So stick around and we will teach you how to get people wet. Because your healing is water. Healing rain and waves, just transition, man. Sometimes healing is just made better by add-ons, and getting add-ons is made better by CurseForge. Whoa, I should work in sales. But really now, we have been using CurseForge since it came out. It's simple. Press one button, update all your add-ons, use their sleek UI to find the add-ons you are looking for. You don't need to keep it open to run in the background. It just works. You can find the link to the app right in the description. Cheers, CurseForge, for sponsoring our video and helping add-on creators all around get their work to the people of the world of Warcraft. Transition! On the first row, all options are good, just depends on the situation. For dungeons, undulation will net you the most amount of value. You'll end up spamming surges and waves, and this will naturally get you a lot of value. It could see uses in raids, but you don't spam the same spells there, and efficient healing is more important in large groups. Hence why Torrent might be a better option in raids. You want Torrent when Riptide is your main focus to instantly get people a bit higher with your Riptide cast, spreading it on more and more people with the Legendary as well. You can instead opt for Unleash Life in situations where you want to fill your globals with more efficient healing, especially in dangerous situations where Unleash Life can buff spells like Chain Heal to increase your overall healing by 35%. Unleash Life is also arguably the best raid option and can provide a lot more value even with Necrolords, where you can Primordial Wave a target, Unleash Life next, followed by an Empowered Healing Wave. Good! Not to mention, by itself, Unleash Life is an instant cast heal that has the benefits of all instant cast spells. Also, if you are a Venthyr, this works pretty good with Chain Harvest. And if you think you might overheal with it, using it on Riptides or Healing Surges can net a lot of burst healing on single target if needed. The second row, Echo of the Elements, is really the only choice here. It increases the charges of Lava Burst, which is effective when dealing damage in low octane situations where healing isn't really needed. More so than that, it adds an extra charge to Healing Stream Totem that later gets replaced with Cloudburst Totem for some proper throughput and uptime on the effects. And let's not forget Riptide gets another charge as well, and played to its utmost strengths, Riptide can easily become one of your top healing abilities. There's an argument to be made with Deluge, where its raw healing output can be useful on fights like Sun King. This means you would be losing a fair bit of versatility and freedom from Echo, but if it can help you deal with a high octane healing mechanic like Sun King, then it's worth considering. Moving down the list, the third row brings utility and survivability. For all content, Spirit Wolf will be your ideal pick here. It turns Ghost Wolf into a small defensive cooldown tied with a mobility one. It's essentially an all-purpose option. A more specific choice that will realistically see play in mythic dungeons more than anything is Earth Grasp Totem. Being able to root packs will help your tank kite since, well, they get chunked, man, chunked! And of course, in any other situation where you want to not have mobs chase you around, Earth Grasp is gonna be good. The fourth row is another... The fourth row is another option-filled talent row. Hooray for freedom! Earthwall Totem will be your general choice for most if not all content. It's good in situations where more people take small to medium periodic ticks of damage, be it either a group-wide dot or a constant trickle of damage that comes in waves. Since the absorption is in small and frequent amounts, then the more it matches the damage intake, the more efficient it is. Obviously, for big-ass hits that happen once every now and again, you will not get much value out of it. Ancestral Vigor can also help, and it sees more usage in dungeons in the current meta, when looking at the high echelon of players, most likely since the smaller number of people, the overall uptime can be more easily maintained, and hierarchies tend to have larger bursts of damage where 10% extra HP can really come in handy. A very unique option is Ancestral Protection Totem. This can be either very good or almost no gain at all. Everyone in it has 10% more HP, and it can and should be used when you know or want someone to die to bypass specific raid mechanics. This is a bit more advanced and requires foreplanning, but if necessary, this opens up an avenue of some of the most unique raid strategies. Not much use now, but if needed, it turns into a very good option. The fifth row brings with it some more utility. For raid-specific encounters at least, Windrush Totem is really good. This lets you put down a totem that gives everyone that passes through its AoE a burst of speed. This is useful when the entire raid, or the majority anyway, needs to transition from one side of the room to the other, or simply any situations where a burst of speed can help with dealing better with a mechanic. Alternatively, a more general option is Nature's Guardian, which can act as a mini cheat death. With a 45-second cooldown, this can pop a small heal on you whenever you dip low, potentially saving you by getting your HP to safe levels where you can heal without fearing dying in the next few globals. Or our recommendation for all content, Graceful Spirit. This baby makes your Spirit Walker's Grace have a 1-minute cooldown, making it a really good mechanic to deal with intense movement situations where your group is taking heavy damage as well. The freedom of casting while moving can make positioning and dodging mechanics very efficient, and it can save groups in situations like Sanguine Death's third boss, or raid fights with shit to dodge but with people getting hit because the healer needs to have lay on hands with no cooldown and also affect any targets within a 100-yard radius. Next up, Cloudburst Totem is the best choice here. It replaces Healing Stream Totem, which we discussed, and with the Echo of the Elements talent, it has 2 charges and a potential uptime of 45 seconds for long intense AoE fights. Rotationally, it doesn't impact you too much, although it can offer you the incentive of baking a lot of buffed heals, so when it explodes, it deals massive healing. You can also preemptively detonate it to prevent overhealing or maybe someone from dying. The extra control over it gives it versatility, which is always helpful if you can react to and judge a situation properly. The other options have their places, but the overall value of Cloudburst is undeniable. And we have reached the finale, for the talents anyway. Wellspring will be your raid choice here. It pairs nicely with Cloudburst, and with it being on a lower cooldown and efficient throughput, makes it worth more than the other 2 counterparts. It does require people to be stacked, which in organized raids will happen pretty much always. Ascendance is better used in dungeons where its heal spread mechanic does not lose efficiency, because the more targets are hurt, the more the heal will spread and it would turn into a 3-minute healing tide totem or worse. Dungeon scenarios benefit Ascendance more where prideful or big pulls happen at specific intervals, and being able to output massive HPS can free up your group to push the timer faster and do riskier pulls. It's also a good "oh shit" button when only a few people are hurt. Choosing stats for a healer can be both simple and complex based on the content you do. The simple version is to always stick with eye level first. Intellect will offer a massive power boost, more so than any other stat. Not to mention that a higher eye level item will offer a larger pool of secondary stats. You can follow that with crit or versatility, which are tied in value, and haste tied with mastery at the bottom. Tied is a strong word, but it should give you an idea of what to aim for at first. Keep in mind that crit and versatility do things a bit differently. Crit will simply give you more raw healing throughput, while versatility will up your power overall with a bit of survivability as well. When pushing very difficult content, aiming for versatility over crit will let you not only take less damage, but potentially survive difficult mechanics. Another point to be made is that sockets are generally worth around 5 levels each, and tertiary stats like Leech and Avoidance can be worth anything from 5 to 10 eye levels as well, with Leech at the top. There are more advanced nuances for the spec. The Ancestral Guidance Discord channel is filled with people that rock Resto Shaman, so don't hesitate to have a chat with the best of the best when it comes to very specific choices like these. For Consumables, use the Celestial Guidance for your weapon as the best choice in all scenarios. For the chest, get Eternal Bounds to help with the mana, or opt for full stats if mana isn't an issue. Don't forget a heavy Desolate Armor kit. The extra stamina adds up, especially if you run Ancestral Vigor or similar effects. You can get Speed of Soul for your boots for max value out of your gear, but do make sure to grab Eternal Intellect on your bracers and Fortified Leech on your cloak, because Leech. Survivability is key, and the one target you are always in 100% control of not needing to heal is you. Start by gemming your sockets with Deadly Jewel clusters for that crit stat to help out with heavy early throughput. Same with Ring Enchants. Tenet of Critical Strike will be your go-to. Keep in mind that it's perfectly safe to replace these and any other crit-focused consumables with their versatility counterparts when pushing content hard enough that survivability becomes an issue and a goal. As for the alchemy needs, here you have options. Potion of Spiritual Clarity is a good mana source if you can afford the downtime to get it back up. Potion of Divine Awakening can be one of the biggest sources of healing power alongside the Potion of Spectral Intellect. Whichever you prefer or can afford, you should be using. You should always be equipped with Spectral Mana and Healing Potions when progressing through raids and tough mythic keys. Lastly, the flask will be the Spectral Flask of Power with the Embalmer's Oil for your weapon, which coincidentally has a nice synergy with the Divine Potion mentioned above. Note, these are more focused on the defensive and more healing throughput options, but there are more offensive options as well, which we've elected to leave out since I think it's naturally better for new players to just go into a healer aiming to heal and not deal damage, but damage does become important later on into the game. And to close the consumable section off, eat the Feast of Gluttonous Hedonism, whenever possible. Mostly in raids, I reckon. You can and maybe should replace it with the Spinefin Soufflé and Fries in dungeons, or if you're a poor bastard that hasn't watched our gold making guide, hey, shameless plug! Right now, the best covenants for Resto Shaman are Necrolords and Venthyr. Necrolord seems to be the most popular, especially for people playing mainly raids and off-specking Elemental, while Venthyr excels a bit more in dungeons and if your off-spec is enhancement or main spec like myself. In all content, both of these will excel, and we will recommend Venthyr mostly because Mythic Plus will always have a higher ceiling in player power requirement, and if Chain Harvest can help you get there, then Venthyr is not a bad pick. Necrolords are also very strong with Primordial Wave and the ability to cleave healing waves. The versatility of using it offensively as well is nice, which can be said for Chain Harvest as well. It can also come down to Door of Shadows versus Fleshcraft, which if I had to choose, I'd go Door any day of the week on a healer with relatively low mobility. If you do go Venthyr, make sure to pick up Draven with the 2 Potency and 2 Endurance Conduit paths leading up to Hold Your Ground, which really makes it obvious why Draven is so good. Not to dismiss the rest of the tree, of course. For Necrolords, Emily is your go-to right now with what I think gives the best group advantage, aka lead by example. Main stab, baby! There is an argument to be made for Kyrian with Mechanicos as the best combo for Torghast. But I mean, come on. As for Conduits, Swirling Currents should be your first pick as the best performing potency overall, regardless of covenant or content you do. Since you will be playing mostly with the Echo of the Elements, this conduit can bake in some serious healing into your Cloudburst right off the bat, not to mention the burst single target healing it does. The second potency one should be either Lavish Harvest or Tumbling Waves, depending on the covenant you decided to go with. They both affect the Covenant ability, which works great for Resto, so why not buff them even more? Alternatively, Embrace of Earth can be used to up the tank healing or simply single target healing, if you find that that's where you're lacking. The best finesse conduit is Thunderous Paws for that small burst of speed in Ghost Wolf, and Vital Accretion for the endurance slots, with Refreshing Waters if you go for the double endurance path with Draven. When it comes to trinkets, usually aiming for stat boosts like Critical Strike with Unbound Changeling or Kabbalist Hymnal will be ideal. The PvP trinkets are also good enough to be worth aiming for. The Sinful Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity will have passive crit boosts to your stats with an intellect proc on use that you can time with cooldowns. Otherwise, the Sinful Gladiator's insignia of Alacrity is another good option to aim for. The reason we are recommending PvP trinkets as well is that they are arguably easier to get if you are unlucky in the raids and easier to boost their eye level as well. But really, the best way to figure it out is to go to questionablyepic.com and use the live tool to sim your potential throughput with different trinkets or ask around in the Ancestral Guidance community. Otherwise, if you want to keep it simple, just equip your highest eye level one that gives either intellect, crit, or versatility, and you'll be good.
There are two main legendaries to craft right now, at least for PvE. Primal Tide Core will be your raid choice and spreader for Riptides. Couple this with things like Torrent and the Necrolord's ability, and your Riptide will flood the meters. Keep in mind that this spell is one of the most efficient healing abilities in your arsenal, so buffing it will only benefit your kit even more. For dungeons, Spiritwalker's Stattle Totem will see better and better performance. It essentially transforms this mana return cooldown into a mana return cooldown and a 10-second healing buff cooldown. Reducing the cast time of Healing Wave and Chain Heal by 50% is amazing in situations where your group needs a lot of healing really quick. This plus Ascendance can push your performance in keys and give you more and more tools to deal with tyrannical sanguine deaths. Blech! Don't get me wrong, the Riptide Lego is good in keys as well, and right now most of the top performing Resto Shamans are using it. It could be because it's their first crafted legendary and have it at a higher eye level, but it's also probably because the performance, which is free cast of Riptides in situations where every global matters, is actually important in high octane situations. A quick disclaimer, healer rotation is more of a guideline than anything else. What matters is understanding your kit and how to counter the damage your group is taking in the most efficient way possible. That comes with practice and knowledge of your class and the game itself. That out of the way, a good priority list to follow for reference is to always keep Earth Shield on your target and Water Shield on you. When healing your target, Riptide should be at the top of your priority list, followed by Healing Rain, Unleashed Life if talented, Wellspring next, with Cloudburst Totem further down the priority list. Use your Covenant ability next in the priority list and finish with Earth Wall Totem. In between your cooldowns, use Healing Surge if shit hits the fan, Chain Heal if more than just one person needs healing, or Healing Wave if the damage intake is minimal. Although managing tidal waves, the passive, will make your healing efficient, on paper, in raids at least it will not matter most of the time, so don't focus too much on it. This is a list of your healing cooldowns and spells from the shortest to the longest. Following this mentality will let you cast the most amount of spells by using the shortest cooldowns first. This is not, however, the order in which you use your abilities. Each does a different thing, and using the right one for the right occasion will make or break your performance. Understanding your cooldowns will make your judgment more relevant and obviously helpful, especially for Restoration Shaman. Healing Tide Totem is mainly a raid cooldown. Since it covers all raid members within 40 yards, it will turn into a lot of healing over the course of a phase where everyone is just taking non-stop damage. Cloudburst Totem should be used on cooldown unless doing that will leave you without a charge for a situation in which you really need its AoE healing redistribution. Keep in mind that the stored healing is split evenly on all injured allies nearby. Ascendance is your "oh shit" button. It has its healing redistributed like Cloudburst, but it excels when only a few targets are actually in need of healing. Popping it as the burst AoE healing as well, which can save people before you actually begin casting. Spirit Link can be considered a healing cooldown or a utility cooldown. Nevertheless, its strength is what sets Restoration apart from other healers. Every second, the health of everyone inside it is redistributed in a way where everyone has an equal percentage of HP. As long as a mechanic does not one-shot someone, it will be incredibly hard for any one person to die while inside it. Although we don't normally go this much into the details of each spec, the value of Tremor Totem cannot be dismissed in dungeons like Mist of Tyran's Scythe or Necrotic Wake, while the value of Wind Rush has already been explained in the talents. Same thing with Mana Tide, bringing the value of Resto Shamans up in raids when it comes to Mana Sustain. Lastly, Earth Elemental is a very powerful cooldown in dungeons when your tank is taking too much heat. Being able to relieve it for a few seconds, either to stabilize him or her, or to drop necrotics, bleeds, and other debuffs, is amazing and will get you a thumbs up from said tank. Also saves party from fuck-ups, but hey, by their assessment, it might be your fuck-up. Blame the healer. And a special thank you to Lytheia for helping us with a little bit of feedback and clarifications on a couple of things on our guide and making sure that we don't say stupid shit. Lytheia is one of the top Resto Shamans in the Ancestral Guidance and Earth Shrine Discord, so you make sure you give the man his proper praise by also checking his YouTube channel down below. The link will be in the description. The man plays Resto Shaman at a way higher level than we do. And we would like to express our gratitude to the Ancestral Guidance and Earth Shrine Discords, and of course, questionably epic website, which the link of it is also in the description. You should definitely check if you want to go more advanced into the spec, because we do often just cover basics and fundamentals of the spec. There's more to learn about Restoration Shamans, and checking Questionably Epic is one of the best websites, and I think the only one that actually has a simming platform for your healing. Check it out. And we cannot forget our patrons for supporting us even more. Thank you guys for being a part of our community and helping us do what we love and giving you better and better shit, right? Right. This shit is getting better, right? And if you, dear viewer, found this video helpful and you want to support us a little bit more, check the link down below to our Patreon page and you can find more stuff that you might find to your liking. And also merch. We do have a little bit of merch soon to be upgraded. Right now you can get some of there. Thank you for watching the video. Check our stream on twitch.tv/MarcelianOnline, and we'll see you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.